My latest and greatest project is this machine, a sportsman class flywheel flipper combat robot. Loft is a realization of a very early ambition that was brought about now that I have the skills and resources to see it through. Inside the machine, a flywheel is spun up to 10,000 RPM, and when commanded, an electromagnetic clutch couples it to the differential winch in the rear that fires the flipping arm. Things last left off with a functional if a bit underpowered flipping mechanism that had a tendency to blow itself apart. The upper winch axle would wind up with such force that the clips holding the frame together collapsed and then blew the groove off the end of the shaft. Several iterations were tried to fix this problem, including magnesium, then aluminium, then solid steel shafts that all failed. With no time to spare before competition, a final steel shaft was machined with bolt threads instead, captured by 2 hardened steel plates with 3 high tensile fasteners on each side. The new shaft was putting the robot untested, as it had to quickly pack and travel to Brisbane. This video covers Loft's first event outing, with the trials and tribulations that incurred.
It's like 30%. Oh, you're recording this.
Why not? If there's going to be a fire, you know.
Sometimes it starts and goes the wrong way, and that's a problem.
Once again, the event was held at the docks, where I attended my first ever featherweight event. Unusually, we wouldn't be following a typical tournament structure. Instead, each competitor gets 6 round-robin fights without any playoffs at the end. I'm told this was to ensure everyone gets as many fights as possible, rather than skewing it towards successful machines that progress to the finals. With an untested receiver, Loft failed to turn off when the radio lost connection, meaning it did not pass the safety checks required to compete. Additionally, this new receiver was still susceptible to the noise generated by the flywheel motor, exacerbated by the increased current. Thankfully, another builder named Andre gave me an old Turnigy receiver that worked perfectly and cleared us to compete.
Who's RTF? Oh yeah.
Hey James, I'm going flying!
Hey! I'm fighting that guy.
I'm going flying!
Yeah.
Loft performed well against its first opponent, but the flipper failed to retract towards the end. I found the new upper winch axle bolts had backed out, so I tightened them, and replaced the PLA spacer with a large steel nut to prevent the rope from binding up in the winch. Following this, the flipper immediately failed with a premature loss. Turns out those fasteners were not loose, but had stretched from the forces, with the soft plastic spacer being the only thing deadening the sudden stresses. When the flipper fired, it blasted the heads clean off the screws, causing the winch to expand axially and jam up between the frame rails. I couldn't extract the sheared screws, meaning my only option to continue competing was reusing the old circlip style shaft. The circlips were utterly drenched in superglue to delay them popping out, and the robot was prepared to fight against its next opponents. I did consider reducing the flipper power to lessen the force on the shaft, but decided against it, full power or going home. With some time to spare, I asked a couple builders if they had any interesting details about their machines they'd be willing to share.
Hi, I'm Ewan, and this is RTF, which was a four-wheel drive, now two-wheel drive Sawbot. It has composite armour with steel, HDPE and TPU. And the interesting thing I've tried is square cut profile with a CNC machine pulley, so that I can easily cut them in three separate cuts and just stack them together with a round belt. It does have some slippage issues, but it's easy to build.
Cool. Hi, I'm Ben from Team Panic, and this is my robot Strange Young Man. What we're going to look at the moment is this. This here is a custom printed screw switch. So it's using parts out of a contactor, which you can buy the kit. You don't have to buy a contactor and pull it apart. You can just buy the kit with all the bits in it, and then you can print your own little chassis up for it and make a very simple switch that won't pop out like a link will, and can also be activated without touching the robot, which is important for this because it's got a round the body lift system. So anywhere I touch the robot is in the path of the weapon, which is not good from a safety perspective.
Hi, I'm Aiden from Fluffy Doom. This is Expert Witness, my first featherweight robot, and my advice to people is TPU is a lot softer than you expect, so I want to learn more and test the hell out of everything, because this has failed repeatedly today.
That's not good. Yourself off the wall there. Might be down to one set of wheels. Oh yes. On certain robots, you can drive with one wheel towards. And not giving up on taking it just as well. Get that flipper straightened out.
Similar results to the first two fights with a great tussle against Justice Bot. I tried to reset the flipper a little too hard and bent the arm badly, which had to be hammered back into shape before the next match. Loft lost a drive side at the end of the fight when a motor controller overheated and shut down to protect itself. The motors were so hot they had melted the plastic debris caps. After the event, I noticed from the slow motion footage that the motor pinions were slipping badly when the drive was stalled. One can see the motors spinning when the wheels are not, but I didn't notice during the event as it drove quite well. Where Loft is very mechanically complex, Stacking Mantis has all manner of sensors and closed-loop control systems for its lifter that seem to be having some problems.
So this is Stacking Mantis. It's a grabbing lifting robot. It's got a grabber arm here with force feedback control here, so it can grab to a particular bite force, and then it lifts the opponent up. It's designed to stack the opponent against the wall.
I managed to stack them for a likely win, but then tried to flip them to keep the fight going. This flip broke the upper drum again for another swift loss. The failure was not the circlip itself, but the groove shearing off the shaft, which would have taken a lot of force. Miles, another builder, offered to weld the broken cap on the screw-based shaft overnight. While I'd still be at the mercy of the left-hand set of screws, it was all I had. Steve, the event organizer, suggested I install a tie rod between the structural uprights to take some of the load, which was an excellent idea. Hopefully both these fixes would see me through to the end of the event.
I'm Chris from Adelaide. This is Beast. So what I like most about Beast, very simple, very straightforward, made out of chopping boards and 3D printed parts, ABS printed on the side here to hold the motors in, TPU printed with bike tread, just from leftover bike treads from a bike shop, and then glued on first. So very, very simple. Yeah, not a huge amount of engineering involved, but very simple and effective. Very good.
G'day, I'm Callum. I'm part of the Adelaide contingent event. This is my robot bonk stick. It's just a giant pumpkin hammer. Shuffling mechanism, so I get a little bit more weight bonus. I need it because this motor is 4 kilos. It's a 500 watt motor. It's the back of it. Yeah, there's the back of it. So this is pretty much just a big furry TPU cover because I know that's what everyone's going to be going for. Sweet. Ta-da.
Before running over the final fights, I wanted to show a machine built by Glenn, which is an excellent example of what can be achieved in the Sportsman Combat class. With 8 legs, it weighs in at 20 kilograms, with a genuinely effective hammer. Sportsman rules prohibit high-energy spinning discs, usually seen in robot combat, meaning a machine like this stands a fighting chance. The field at this event had such a variety of robots. There are simpler horizontal saws, overhead saws that both swing the arm and lift the opponent into the blade, flippers, grabbers, lifters, hammers of all kinds, with different methods of locomotion. The span of technologies and resources keep things interesting too. We had first-time builders, with machines made by hand from chopping board plastic, fighting equally against the elaborately designed, CNC machined Walker. Some new machines stick to classic dual-motor drive, and enormous 1.5 kilogram scooter motors to swing the weapon. Others have complex modern control systems operating dense, high-voltage motors. I prefer the Sportsman Combat class for what it enables that the Open class really doesn't. Not that variety is exclusive to Sportsman, but the threat of complete destruction means many builders wouldn't risk their unconventional designs. I hope to see it continue and attract ever more creative machines. Returning to Loft, it has 2 more scheduled fights for the weekend. Time to see if the tie rod and welded plates would last.
It does.
It works.
And now you're going to lose your fight.
Glenn's whinging about using a phone. I need slow-mo and I need
Got any words for the fight?
Yeah, Glenn's being annoying.
Mate, put on the beauty filler.
Don't stick with that and then ruin the footage.
It just erases you from the pitch.
Closing up the regular tournament, Loft leaves at 4-2, a respectable record for the new machine. The final fight against Spyro was an excellent showing, though by now the flipper was rapidly losing power to internal friction and general wear on the clutch. The second set of screws did fail, but the tie rod kept the flipper from completely jamming. Andre almost sawed through to a drive motor, but ultimately lost to a mechanical gremlin of his own.
This tensioner here didn't hold the belt tight enough, so you could hear it clicking, which was actually this bolt flexing and flicking back down. So I need either a thicker bolt or something that pulls it that way.
I just started to pack up when my pit neighbour Harley mentioned he had arranged one off-the-books grudge match with Callum's bonk stick. It will be the last fight of the event, and I volunteered to compete with only minutes before it began. I threw new batteries in Loft and had to frantically hammer the drum axle back in place on the waiting tables as my opponents were loading in. Seconds to spare, as this was a spectator event that couldn't be held up on a whim, Loft was put down for one final fight to close the weekend.
Your battle. How did one get your phone?
3, 2, 1, fight!
A great way to end the event with a chaotic showing for the crowd. Bonk Stick ran out of battery early on, and the upper drum axle jammed shortly after with an unknown failure of the flipper's end of travel sensor, preventing it from firing in the closing moments. When the clock ran out, Loft was in terrible shape. It sported a failed drum axle, overheated drive ESCs, spinning drive pinions, loose magnets in the right drive motor, a badly warped flipper arm, and stripped pulleys on the wheels. But despite all that, it put on a good show right up to the very end. Loft will be repaired and upgraded for the upcoming Sportsman event in Ipswich in just under 3 weeks. Currently the machine is in pieces as I've been busy with the FRC build season, but planned upgrades to the clutch and winch to see more power and a reliable performer if it all goes well. Until next time.